Bunny Girl Senpai has been a fantastic anime, and I think everyone who didn't read the light novel would have not expected this type of series when looking at the cover art and synopsis. You were probably thinking that it was going to be an ecchi harem. Now there's been a fair share of videos online talking about Bunny Girl Senpai, and I probably couldn't add anything new to the discussion, but I'm here today to throw my hat into the ring and tell you why I love Bunny Girl Senpai. Just right off the bat, I instantly started to relate to the main character, Asasagawa Sakuta. He was someone who never cared about what people thought about him, and he had a philosophy which was to go with the flow of the atmosphere and try not to stand out. Even when there was the rumor about him hospitalizing other students, he never tried to stop or correct the misunderstanding, because he knew there was no real point to it and it would all just be a huge nuisance and waste of time. It's not like when the rumor is disproven that he would immediately have people coming up to him to talk, hang out, or even apologize. He never wanted that in the first place, because he never cared about popularity. He was content with the few friends he had. This is exactly how he acted in high school, and probably the same applies to most of the audience watching the show. And seeing a character that doesn't want to be in the spotlight, who was also funny by always having a quick comeback to anything, it was such a breath of fresh air. But not only that, I feel like he was the perfect character of being the mediator of all the adolescent syndromes that happened in the show. Because he was someone who was mostly monotone in personality, and was also someone who preferred to be on the sidelines, each new character with adolescent syndrome can project their problems onto him, and in one way or another, he had some sort of relation to each situation that caused the syndrome. This made sure that every character with adolescent syndrome would get proper focus and development, which in my opinion is a really smart move. Because without Sakuta, we wouldn't have learned about all these amazing characters with their stories, making their storytelling very similar to one of my favorite animes of 2018, Violet Evergarden. However, the tricky part of this is that the focus is being split by 5 different characters, all with pretty complex struggles that need more investigation and time to resolve. With the case of Violet Evergarden, it was slightly different. To help explain this a little bit more, let me use this diagram of dramatic structure. With every new story, we were introduced during the middle of their arc, about right here on the diagram, meaning that the only things left is the climax, falling action, and resolution. This makes it much easier for them to tell the story in just one episode. But with Bunny Girl Senpai, they had to figure out how to pace out all 5 different stories without any one of them feeling rushed. And they were able to do that, which is another reason of why I love this show so much. So now let's finally talk about these girls with adolescent syndrome. We have Mai, Koga, Kaede, Futaba, and Norika. However, I'm only going to talk about 3 of the characters, because I think they're the most important to the story. So starting us off, we have Sakurachiga Mai. With her case of adolescent syndrome, it was triggered by the fact that she didn't want to be an actress for a while, because her own mother/manager basically forced Mai to do a bikini photo shoot only when she was in middle school. Anyway, since she was someone that didn't stand out anymore and wasn't being viewed by the public, her existence was never confirmed again. The anime also explained this with the measurement theory, or better known as the Schrodinger cat experiment. This got me so much more interested into the anime, seeing them use quantum physics theories to help us understand the adolescent syndromes a little bit more. Now getting back to Mai's arc, the whole thing was beautifully done. With the relationship she formed with Sakuta, we got to see Mai go through all these different types of emotions, and that scene in episode 3, where Sakuta screamed over and over again about how much he loves Mai in order to make people finally remember her existence.
これだから空気となんか戦いたくなかったんだ。チキショー！マイさん！好きだ！好きだ好きだ好きだ好きだ好きだ！
This was a perfect ending to her arc, and I wouldn't have changed one thing. With the very next arc, we get introduced to Koga Tomoe. She was someone who really cared about her popularity. Then when she got into a difficult situation with a guy that one of her best friends has a crush on, she knew that it would compromise her popularity, so it triggered her adolescent syndrome, causing her to, in a sense, be able to predict the future and relive the same day over and over again until she can find the correct solution. But Sakuta was also experiencing the same thing, and the only way he could end the cycle was that he had to pretend to be Koga's boyfriend. However, throughout this arc, Koga started to develop feelings to Sakuta, and soon later she started to repeat the same day they had their final fake date, all leading up to an amazing confrontation that no matter how many times she repeats this day, Sakuta will never fall in love with her, because he's in love with Mai.
Senpai no baka! Baka! Kirai! I kirai! Demo... 好き。私は先輩が好き。大好き!
This scene was absolutely breathtaking, from the cinematography to the voice acting. This was exactly what Koga needed to move on in life, and to finally end this cycle. Finally, moving on to our last character, I'm going to be talking about Sakuta's little sister, Kaede. We quickly learned that she was the victim of online bullying, and since she didn't want to remember any of it, it triggered the adolescent syndrome, making her forget everything, but also turning her into a completely different person. And throughout the 2 years, Sakuta still had no idea how to help. The only thing he could do was to keep her safe. And during the last few episodes, she made a list of goals she wanted to achieve, like finally get out of the house again or go on a trip to the zoo to see pandas. However, when all the goals were achieved, Kaede's memories came back, but she doesn't remember anything that happened in the 2 years. Even after reading the journal the previous Kaede made, she couldn't remember any of it. This was devastating, because after 2 years of living with this person and making fond memories with her, she was gone within a blink of an eye, putting Sakuta at his absolute worst. And because of that, we finally understand the meaning behind the scars on his chest, and learning that Sakuta basically created Shoko to help him cope with everything that was going on in his life. This had me on the edge of my seat, and this arc was one of the most important ones of them all, because even though Sakuta was able to help everyone, he was the one that needed help the most. So if you're someone who hasn't watched Bunny Girl Senpai, then please give this show a shot, because it's an amazing drama series with a fantastic cast of characters, and I would definitely give this show the score of at least 8.5 out of 10.
語れない眠